If you've clicked on this video, I'm guessing that you've tried to stop smoking before. Maybe you made it through 3 days, maybe 3 weeks, or might even managed a few months. And then, out of nowhere, you found yourself standing there with a lit cigarette in your hand thinking, how on earth did I end up back here again? Well, if that's happened to you, I want to reassure you that you're not alone. I see people sitting in my chair most weeks who have been through the exact same loop. I'm Neil Cox and I'm a hypnotherapist based here in Cornwall in the UK. In this video, I want to walk you through why stopping smoking isn't just a matter of digging deep and finding more willpower, how your brain puts smoking on complete autopilot, and what actually happens if you come to see me for a stop smoking session. By the time we finish, you'll have a much clearer idea of why you smoke in the first place. And once you understand that, stopping starts to make a lot more sense. Let me ask you something. Do you remember your very first cigarette? Most people I talk to can remember it quite vividly. And I ask them, did you enjoy it? And that answer is almost always a hard no. See, you probably coughed, tasted vile, smelled awful. You might even have ended up feeling quite dizzy or even quite sick. Your body was giving you every single possible signal that it didn't want it. So that raises a really interesting question. If it was that unpleasant to start with, how on earth did it turn into something you now feel that you need just to get through the day? Well, it's because nobody's born wanting to smoke. It's a behavior your brain learns. Now, when you repeat something often enough, your brain is designed to make that action as efficient as possible. It takes the routine and then hands it over to your subconscious mind. It puts it on autopilot so you don't have to spend time actively thinking about it. So to give you an idea of how that works, think about when you first learnt to drive a car. Cast your mind back to that very first lesson. Every single movement required your full concentration. You had to consciously check your mirrors, figure out the clutch, find the gear stick, remember your indicators. It was exhausting because your conscious mind was doing all of the heavy lifting. Now, think about driving today. You can get into your car, you can drive 10 miles down the road, park on your driveway, barely recall the journey. Now that doesn't mean you are driving dangerously or fast asleep at the wheel. It just means your brain became brilliant at driving. It took all of those complex steps and automated them. Smoking works in precisely the same way. Over time, smoking stops being that conscious choice. Instead, it gets attached to your everyday life. You smoke with your morning cup of tea or coffee. You smoke as soon as you step in the car. You smoke after dinner. Whilst you're walking the dog, when you're having a drink, when you're feeling stressed, or when you're just bored and waiting for something to happen. Those daily moments become triggers. The moment occurs and your brain automatically says, time for a cigarette. Your body didn't need one of these in that precise second. It was because that was the pattern you've taught it to run over years of repetition. People often ask me, Neil, am I actually addicted or is this just a habit? Well, the truth is it's a bit of both. So nicotine is addictive. There's no point pretending otherwise with that. But after working with smokers for years, I can tell you that that daily habit loop is usually far more powerful than that physical chemical itself. So just look at how smokers actually live. A smoker can go to the cinema, sit through a 3-hour film, and not even think about a cigarette once until those credits start to roll. They can sleep for 8 hours straight through the night without waking up every 20 minutes with that physical withdrawal symptom. If nicotine were completely driving the bus, as it were, those gaps wouldn't be possible. Your body would demand it constantly. Now, that reality is that your brain has learned when it expects a cigarette. And that's actually brilliant news, because if a pattern can be learned, it can also be unlearned. I hear people say to me all the time, "I've just got no willpower, Neil." I don't buy that for 1 second. Clients who come through my door have built careers. They've brought up kids. They've fought through illness, managed all forms of situations in life. They aren't weak people. The issue is simply that they're trying to use conscious willpower against a subconscious automatic habit. And willpower just gets tired. Have you ever lit a cigarette, taken a couple of drags, and suddenly realised you don't even remember pulling the packet out of your pocket or even lighting it? Yeah. When I ask smokers, same thing in here in this clinic, most of them smile or even laugh because they've done it dozens of times. That is pure automation. You were thinking about something else entirely, and your hands just ran the script. Now, another thing people worry about is how much they smoke. Now, I'll have people say, "I smoke 40 a day, Neil," or "I've been smoking for 30 odd years." They say it like they think they're a lost cause, or that they'll be much harder to help than someone who only smokes 5 a day. Honestly, the number of cigarettes you smoke or how long you've been doing it doesn't really change much from my perspective. See, I've had people who have smoked heavily for decades walk out of here and never touch a cigarette again. I've even had light social smokers who needed just a little bit more time just to untangle those habits. The volume doesn't really dictate your success. What actually matters is whether you've arrived at a place where you genuinely want to stop. If you're only doing it because your GP's told you or your doctor's told you to, or because your partner's nagging you, it is tough. But if you've reached the point where you personally think, "I'm done with this," then my job isn't to convince you to quit. My job is simply helping you, the subconscious side of your mind, just to catch up to the decision that you've already made. If you decide to reach out to me, I want to make sure that you know exactly what to expect, because a lot of people are a bit nervous about hypnotherapy. So first off, you don't just show up, sit in this chair, and just get hypnotized straight away. That's not how I work. Now, our first appointment is an initial consultation. There is no hypnosis in that session. We sit down, we have a relaxed chat, map everything out. I want to know your history with smoking, when you smoke, What are your main triggers? What have you tried before? What's happened when you did try? We'll walk through how your brain creates all these automated habits. We'll answer all the questions you have and make sure that you feel completely ready. Only after we've done that do we set up the actual stop smoking session, and that's usually about a week later. Now that will give your mind a bit of time to digest what we've talked about, and also, if it's appropriate, maybe some listening to an audio file I provide. Now, when you come back for that main session, you don't lose control or even go to sleep. You'll hear my voice the whole time. You know where you are, you'll remember everything we do. And most people just tell me it feels like a period of really deep relaxation. Now, whilst you're in that relaxed state, we work on changing how your subconscious views cigarettes. So instead of seeing a cigarette as a reward or a stress reliever or something to do when you're bored, your mind starts recognizing what it actually is. Something that never solved those problems in the first place, but just kept you needing the next one. Now, I've got a former client who started a really lovely routine with me quite a few years back now. And every year around Christmas, my inbox pop up with a little brief email from her, and it just said, "Still not smoking, Neil." Next Christmas, exactly the same thing. "Still not smoking." And she did it for years. And honestly, those little emails mean such a lot, don't they? Because, see, stopping smoking isn't just about white knuckling your way through the first 7 days, and it's about getting that everyday freedom back. It's about going through those Christmases, the birthdays, the holidays, the stressful work days, and all the nights out with your friends, and just having all those moments pass by without cigarettes being a part of your life anymore. If you've watched right through to this point in the video, I'd guess that making a change is something that's been on your mind for a while. So just picture what it's like to wake up tomorrow morning, make your cup of tea or coffee, head out the door, deal with a really busy day, or sit down with friends, and cigarettes simply don't enter your head. No fighting off cravings, just living your life as a non-smoker. If you want to see whether hypnotherapy is the right fit for you, feel free to get in touch. Book the initial consultation. We'll have a really sensible, no pressure chat and see where you're at. And if you found this video helpful, do subscribe to the channel if that's your thing. I regularly put videos looking at how the mind works and even how hypnotherapy helps you with things like the anxiety and sleep and all the everyday stress. So whatever you decide to do next, I wish you the very, very best with it. Take care. Bye for now.